What's up, A to Z Sports Live on a Friday. Austin Stanley and St. Pete Sam here with you guys talking Titans and a Mike Vrabel topic, as Mike Vrabel, the Titans head coach, has been slighted by two NFL national outlets. I see All Right Den already in the YouTube waiting room give his opinion. He said, I don't watch ESPN, but this topic is interesting. ESPN is not one of the two outlets that is sliding Mike Vrabel. Maybe they are, but that's not who we're going to talk about today, sliding the Titans head coach, as we talk about a couple national NFL companies that are not giving Mike Vrabel a former NFL coach of the year what normally NFL coaches of the years get when it comes to offseason head coaching rankings. So we'll discuss where Mike Vrabel has landed in a couple of these spots here on this show. And then Sam and I, and even Zach too, we've kind of had this Oilers throwback unis topic banked for weeks. Today's the day. We're going to talk about the Oilers throwbacks, as those will officially be available from the Titans. What is that, next week, Sam? Is that the 21st, 23rd, something like that? It's coming up.
I think it'll be next week sometime.
Yeah, it's coming up pretty soon. So we'll discuss that with a good topic there. We'll also talk with Mike Vrabel, and then it is a Friday, which means ain't that good news. And so our ain't that good news will probably surround what Sam and I each did yesterday. Rooney said, I wonder if Sam is still with us after his jet ski ride yesterday. I was in the YouTube chat before we got going live. Sam's obviously is here and is healthy enough to do the show. I did Buck Rising's Split Happens bowling event last night, and I am here healthy enough to do the show this morning, as that went later than I expected it to. But all right, got a little extra hydration juice to my side here this morning. But hey, we're gonna have a big time fun show on a Friday. So Sam, welcome in. Let's get this party started here by telling people what they got to do.
Yeah, let's do it on a Friday. Before we get going, make sure you guys share the show. If you're watching on Facebook, go ahead and hit the share button in the bottom right corner. If you're watching on YouTube, take that YouTube link, send it to a friend, a group chat. Find the Titans fan or the football fan in your life and introduce them to A to Z Sports. That's the best way to support us, to grow the A to Z Sports family. Make sure you are sharing the show before we go and kick things off on a Friday morning.
Yep, let's do it officially. Welcome in A to Z Sports, powered as always by the BetMGM app. I'm Austin Stanley. He is St. Pete Sam Phelan down there in St. Pete in Florida this week. We are always going live weekday mornings at 8 Central Time, no matter where we're at, on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Links to the show segment by segment on our Twitter timeline, and also hit us up on Instagram and TikTok. You can follow us all across those platforms at A to Z Sports. Got to thank our sponsors, because they make it happen for us and they help out all of you like Wilson County Hyundai. If you want to make them a part of your new car buying process, like you should, go see them in Lebanon or at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. The Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Farm Bureau Health Plans. You can get better with Farm Bureau Health Plans. That means better coverage rates and service at fbhp.com/ATOZ. The Aura app keeps you safe online, and you can get a 2-week free trial with our link, especially at aura.com/ATOZ. And our friends at Krebs Kubota, an elite Kubota dealer with 3 locations across the mid-state in Murfreesboro, Columbia, and in Franklin, online at KrebsKubota.com. So Sam, you had your first jet ski experience yesterday. They're down in St. Pete outside of Tampa in the Bay. Did you go jet skiing in the ocean, which we can kind of see over your right shoulder, or did you go jet skiing in the Bay that is probably towards the front of you there at St. Pete?
Yeah, I was told it was the Gulf. So
the Gulf is the ocean. That is the Gulf of Mexico. That is the massive body of water.
Well, I don't know what bay you're referring to then. I haven't seen
Tampa Bay.
Right, but no, I was in the ocean.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a great time. We'll talk about it later for good news, but I'm here, so that's a plus. You made me a little nervous yesterday, but St. Pete Sam is here. I've got better Wi-Fi this morning. We're rattling off some wins on a Friday.
I like it. I had No wins last night on the bowling lanes, but again, we will discuss that later. And ain't that good
I got to
news?
figure out what you don't strike me as a bowler, so we got to figure out kind of what went down yesterday.
Again, I'm not bad by any means. I just did not realize that our Nashville sales representative, Andrew Schulman, is actually really good at bowling. So that is where I did not pick up any W's. But all right, Sam, let's dive into this. We're actually going to kind of start in Tampa Bay because Trevor Sikkema, who's also known on Twitter as Tampa Bay Trey, gave his top 10 NFL coaches as he works for Pro Football Focus. So top 10 head coaches in the NFL per Trevor Sikkema. He's got 1 Andy Reid, 2 Bill Belichick, 3 Mike Tomlin, 4 Kyle Shanahan, 5 John Harbaugh, 6 Sean McVay, 7 Doug Peterson of the Jags getting some love, 8 Nick Sirianni of the Super Bowl appearing Philadelphia Eagles, 9 Sean McDermott, and then number 10, Brian Daboll, who is just 1 year into his NFL head coaching career. So those are the top 10 head coaches in the NFL, according to Trevor Sikkema. Sam, I'll let you just give some initial reaction. The title of our show, Titans head coach Mike Vrabel slighted by 2 national NFL outlets, Pro Football Focus and Trevor Sikkema being the first one because Mike Vrabel is not in the top 10.
Yeah, I mean, my first reaction when I saw that, I just don't know how you have a top 10 list without Mike Vrabel on it. Like, I think there's some nuances inside the top 10, some things that Mike Vrabel could potentially be criticized for when you're inside the top 10 about why he does or doesn't deserve to be in a particular spot. But given the consistency that he has had during his time with the Tennessee Titans and really building one of the more consistent cultures around a team that is less talented than some of those teams that you see with head coaches that, like, we talk Andy Reid, and Andy Reid's a phenomenal coach. Andy Reid also has one of the more talented rosters in the league. Same with Nick Sirianni and some of these other coaches that get a lot of credit some of the time. But this is a former coach of the year. This is somebody who, up until last season had consistently gotten better and never had a losing season in his career. I just don't know how that guy's not in your top 10. With as much turnover as we have in the National Football League, there are not 10 names that I would have taken over Mike Vrabel. So I saw this list first, and we'll talk about the second one, but I saw this one first, and my eyebrows immediately got raised of how is Mike Vrabel not in the top 10? Doesn't check out to me. And, I think as we get deeper into the show, I'll talk a little bit about some of these names, but I think some of this is a little bit ridiculous.
Yeah, and I'll go to some comments out of the gates here because I do see some people, several, including Renauld, right there. I see JNYDSG on Twitch, so I appreciate it. Some people watching on Twitch this morning, and then others are just talking about recency bias, right? I mean, because Kenny says the Jags get one decent season and now their coach is a top 10 guy. Now, look, Doug Peterson has done more than coach the Jags for one season. He did win a Super Bowl with the Philadelphia Eagles. And so he is a legitimately good head coach. And he did a great job in his first year with the Jags after Urban Meyer tanked everything with the Jags. But hey, top 7 after, just a couple years after getting fired because he and Carson Wentz had a power struggle, or Carson Wentz won the power struggle. That tells you everything you need to know about where that situation was in Philadelphia. But hey, the Eagles have rebounded very nicely because now Nick Sirianni is right there at number 8. And so I think there is a lot of recency bias in all this. Now, look, Brian Daboll is also in there with some recency bias there too. But Andy Reid, Bill Belichick, Mike Tomlin, Kyle Shanahan, John Harbaugh, the top 5, I think all deserve, Sam, to be in that top 5. I think that is fair, or in the top 10 at least. I think those 5 deserve to be in the top 10.
I think all 5 of those deserve to be in the top 10.
Yeah.
I don't think that's the top 5.
Yeah, I misspoke the first time. Yeah, I don't think they're all top 5, but I do think they're all top 10. Sean McVay, look, he had a honeymoon tour after his Super Bowl win with the Rams. We'll see what his next iteration is of his career. And then we got some, recency bias type coaches to round out that top 10.
Yeah, well, here's one of my issues with You go ahead and throw the list up again.
Yeah.
But one of my issues with this list is if you're talking about recency bias, I'm frustrated with the lack of accountability for some of these other head coaches. Like if you're holding Mike Vrabel to the standard of 7 straight losses to end the season and a 7-10 2022
Yeah.
that resulted in not having a playoff appearance,
Mhm.
like where is the recency bias to somebody like Mike Tomlin, to somebody like Sean McVay, to somebody like Bill Belichick, who are in the top 10, who are at the top? And I get that, those guys have won Super Bowls and done it in the past. But if it's strictly a recency bias list, why is Bill Belichick at number 2 when the Patriots haven't done anything since Tom Brady left them? And
Yeah.
he didn't make the playoffs last year either. So, like, that's where I immediately got confused by this list is like, are we ranking the top 10 head coaches or are we ranking the 10 coaches who had the best season? I don't see how you leave Mike Vrabel off if it's head coaches in general, even if there is recency bias. Like that should have affected some of those other names as well.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm with you, but it's, there is a lot of, recent success. Then there's also the longevity. I think Bill Belichick and Mike Tomlin are up there because Mike Tomlin's never had a losing season.
Yeah.
Like, and again, like he had Ben Roethlisberger for a long time, but then he was able to put it together post Ben Roethlisberger and with a rookie quarterback like Kenny Pickett and still not have a losing season, where Mike Vrabel did have a losing season last year, and it's only just his 5th year as a head coach. So let's get to our second list, our second national outlet that has slighted Titans head coach Mike Vrabel here this morning as we go through our show today on a Friday. But first, let me tell you guys all about Krebs Kubota. They are an elite Kubota dealer in the Nashville area. KrebsKubota.com is where to find them online. And they got 3 awesome locations in Murfreesboro, Columbia, and in Franklin. I've been to the Murfreesboro location. It's pretty badass. Like if you are an equipment guy, if you just want to go to a spot and just cross your arms and look at some really cool, like powerful stuff, then Krebs Kubota is your place. And Jamie and Matt, awesome guys, are out there helping run Krebs Kubota at all 3 locations. They've got the Elite Kubota dealership recognition badge there. And what that means is they have the best equipment in the industry with Kubota, but they also have the best warranty in the industry with Kubota. And they've also got incredible customer service with what they do with the people that run Krebs, because it's all about having a great relationship with your equipment provider when you're using all of these power units, a lot of force that's going into the earth. When you're doing projects around your property, you have to know who to trust and who can help you out, get all those things accomplished, stay safe, and get the right stuff. And Krebs Kubota, they thrive in that. So 3 great locations, again, Murfreesboro, Columbia, and Franklin, online at KrebsKubota.com.
Today's show is powered by BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. Use the bonus code ATOZ Sports when you sign up on the BetMGM app, and you can get up to $1,000 back in the form of a bonus bet if your first bet doesn't win. The best way to do sports gambling is when the risk is limited and when you can get your money back. So sign up, use that code ATOZ Sports. You place your first wager. Even if you lose, money back in the form of a bonus bet up to $1,000. Sign up with the king of sportsbooks. That's BetMGM.com and the BetMGM app.
All right, Sam. So we're going through Mike Vrabel, Titans head coach, slighted by 2 NFL national outlets. The first was Pro Football Focus's Trevor Sikkema, who does not have Mike Vrabel as a top 10 head coach. Here is his top 10. Pretty standard. A lot of, the big names towards the top, but then a lot of recency bias there with Doug Peterson, Nick Sirianni, and Brian Daboll. I think the one guy we haven't really mentioned yet that just kind of, you feel like, okay, Sean McDermott, he deserves to be there, and everybody feels okay about that. I did see a comment here saying that Vrabel was a coach of the year last year. Well, it was 2 years ago that Mike Vrabel was a coach of the year, and he is already out of the top 10. And we go to our second outlet, national outlet, and this is CBS Sports, who has Mike Vrabel at 13th. And here is the blurb from Cody Benjamin, who put this together for CBSSports.com. Mike Vrabel said his a commitment to a retro bruising run first approach is both his blessing and curse. The man's reliance on vets like Ryan Tannehill and Derrick Henry hasn't really yielded more than early round playoff bids. And yet year in and year out, he gets more out of his physical teams than you'd expect. always good for at least a wild card contention in the AFC South. So, Sam, what do you think about Cody Benjamin's blurb about Mike Vrabel being 13th right there in his CBS Sports rankings? And I'll go ahead and just say Nick Sirianni is 12th, Matt LaFleur 11th, Doug Peterson 10th. Other guys that are in the CBS Sports top 10 that are not in Pro Football Focus is Pete Carroll, the Seahawks, Sean Payton of the Broncos are right there too. So, Sam, what are your thoughts about the Cody Benjamin blurb?
Look, I get the criticism. I think that is the one criticism of Vrabel. Like, I think if there's going to be one thing you bring up, it's going to be the run first. It's going to be the, he says it's produced nothing but early playoff exits. I mean, there was a run to the AFC Championship game. So like
he's 2-3 in the playoffs as a head coach. And
right, which is not a bad record.
Yeah,
I mean,
show me an NFL head coach or an NFL quarterback besides Tom Brady and Joe Montana, who have a winning record in the playoffs, because you're going to lose every year that you don't win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm not sure I put a ton into that. I mean, yeah, they lost in the first round against the Cincinnati Bengals in 2021.
The second round.
First game, second round, which, I mean, even then in of itself, I mean, you had an AFC Championship appearance and a divisional round appearance. Most of these teams don't make it that far. So I don't know if I agree with that. I think the criticism of the run first approach and the reliance on Tannehill and Henry is fair. I think we're going to see this season how much of that is Mike Vrabel and how much of that was him being handcuffed by the roster John Robinson gave to him. I mean, I saw a comment earlier that said Vrabel also failed on his, promise to keep AJ, but I think we've all kind of known now that Mike Vrabel did want to keep AJ.
Yeah.
And didn't fight hard to keep AJ enough. It's not Mike Vrabel's call at the end of the day. John Robinson was the general manager, and we don't know exactly what happened with that dynamic, but I at least get the sense Mike Vrabel wanted to keep him. John Robinson got his way. John Robinson was proven wrong. John Robinson's no longer with the team. So I don't know how much of that is Vrabel and how much of that is the roster around him. And I will say, when Mike Vrabel did have the weapons downfield to stretch the offense, to rely less on Derrick Henry, to give Ryan Tannehill the support in his system that he needed, Mike Vrabel had one of the better offenses on his team and one of the better defenses on his team. And they went to the AFC Championship game. They had a great 2020 season. And then they were the number 1 seed, even without Derrick Henry in 2021. So, like, this guy has a track record of getting it done when he has the roster to support him. So you'll know this year, but I think that is the one criticism, if there is going to be one.
Yeah, and to go back to the Pro Football Focus graphic, because it kind of shows us a top 10, right? I think there's a lot of prove it situations that we're kind of talking about. Like, guys, I think Bill Belichick is in a significant prove it situation at this point with Mac Jones. I think Sean McVay is in a prove it situation. Nick Sirianni is in a prove it situation after going to the Super Bowl this past year. And Sean McDermott, guys, is and the whole Buffalo Bills team is in a spot where they got to win. Like, they haven't yet gotten to an AFC title game. The Buffalo Bills have to win. They haven't been able to break through. They lose to the Bengals and the Chiefs the last couple of years, and now Josh Allen is making bukus of money, and they've paid as many defensive players as they possibly can. They've paid their offensive weapons. It's time to put up or shut up, and so that's up to Sean McDermott and his quarterback to get it done. And so there's a lot of prove it situations, and I think Mike Vrabel is in a prove it situation too, because now it's like you're saying, and like people in the chat are saying, well, how much of the failures last season were because of John Robinson and how much of them are because of Mike Vrabel? Because I'll give Cody Benjamin. Go ahead.
Well, I'd like to say too, like, how many of those guys that have done it there's a handful of coaches that have been as consistent in their win-loss records as Mike Vrabel. Like, really only a few that have done year over year winning seasons for the most part. But how many of them have had an elite quarterback when they've done it? Like, Mike Vrabel does not have an elite quarterback. I think Ryan Tannehill's adequate. Like, he's fine. But to be able to build a consistent winner around an offense that doesn't have an elite quarterback is very, very difficult to do. And as we know, it's very difficult to win in the playoffs without that guy.
Yeah.
Like Andy Reid does not have the same record in the playoffs if Patrick Mahomes is not his quarterback. Sean McDermott's lost a lot of playoff games, like you said, in spite of having the elite quarterback in Josh Allen. Same thing with John Harbaugh, since he really took, like, in this Lamar Jackson era, has not been able to win in the playoffs very much with Lamar Jackson. So, like, I think that's a credit to Vrabel. The fact that he does have the playoff run to his name in 2019. He does have the number 1 seed in the AFC in 2021 to his name, and the NFL Coach of the Year. And this is with Ryan Tannehill as his quarterback. Like,
yeah,
that's substantial.
Yeah, and Sam the Man on YouTube gives a super chat. The NFL is a what have you done lately league, and no doubt about that, Sam the Man, not St. Pete Sam, but Sam the Man on YouTube here. And so, yeah, Mike Vrabel's done it without a MVP caliber quarterback, where Andy Reid has gone from Patrick Mahomes. He had his Ryan Tannehill style quarterback in Alex Smith for a few years. And then he had Donovan McNabb for a long time in Philadelphia. And so, yeah, there's a lot of good things, and you have to be good and lucky and fortunate to get good quarterbacks like that. So, Sam, let's go ahead and ask the official first question to everybody in the chat, because I think we've already had a great conversation thus far, even without officially asking you guys a question. You guys are on it on this Friday morning with this topic, because we're talking about Mike Vrabel being slighted by CBS Sports and Pro Football Focus for not being a top 10 head coach, and getting some guys like Brian Daboll, Nick Sirianni, Doug Peterson, who have already jumped ahead of him, just 1 year removed from Vrabel being the NFL Coach of the Year. So here is the question, Sam, and we'll get to everybody's comments. Where should Mike Vrabel be ranked? You know, is he a top 10 guy? Is he top 15? Where should Mike Vrabel be ranked as an NFL head coach? We'll get to everybody's comments here in a moment. But first, I'm going to tell you guys about Farm Bureau Health Plans, where they can up your rankings when it comes to your health coverage. And if you're a Tennessean and you're trying to figure out how to save money in any aspect of your life and trying to cut off some of that budget, I'll tell you what, Farm Bureau Health Plans will help you get there, because they will give you a great, fantastic rate for actually really good coverage. Zach saved 20% on his health coverage and got better coverage when he switched to Farm Bureau Health Plans. And they've been doing this for Tennesseans for 75 plus years. It is so easy to get started. They have 200 plus locations across the state, but all you got to do is you got to log on fbhp.com/ATOZ. You take a health assessment, takes 20, 30 minutes, and then they start your quote and your path to saving money on your health coverage and getting better health coverage on top of it. You usually don't get to eat your cake and have it too, or have your cake and eat it too, however they say it. But Farm Bureau Health Plans can do it for you. fbhp.com/ATOZ.
Today's show is powered by BetMGM. They're the king of sportsbooks. You use that bonus code on your screen, ATOZ Sports, when you place your first wager with BetMGM, and you can get up to $1,000 back in the form of a bonus bet. Whatever it is that you put down, up to $1,000, you're getting that money back in the form of a bonus bet, even if the bet loses. That's why they're the king of sportsbooks. They're the go-to. If you're trying to get into the sports gambling space, it's betmgm.com and the BetMGM app.
All right, Sam. So we're asking, where should Mike Vrabel be ranked as an NFL head coach after both Pro Football Focus and CBS Sports leave Vrabel out of the top 10. So I'll go ahead and send you to the chat to see what everybody's thinking about where Vrabel should be in NFL head coaching rankings there on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch.
Steven is just right, top 13. So he doesn't think this is a slight of Mike Vrabel at all. Orlando says he's number 10. Avening says top 5. Jonathan says 5 or 6. Daniel Wright says top 10. Titans Kyle says between 10 and 12. Tighten Up says top 10. Jay says 7 to 10. Ed, 19 to 22. That's a ridiculous comment. 19 to 22. Ridiculous take.
Time out. Let me go to CBS's Cody Benjamin's list, and let me go to 19 to 22, and let's just see exactly who's there. All right. Coming in at number 19, awfully hoped to be fired, Dallas Cowboys head coach Mike McCarthy. Coming in at number 20, the Browns' Kevin Stefanski, also a former NFL Coach of the Year. But 21, Ron Rivera in Washington, and 22, Dan Campbell of the Detroit Lions. Dan Campbell is 17-28-1. 17-28-1 in his head coaching career. Ron Rivera is really good. I think he's had a longevity of a career, but he is a little bit over 500. Stefanski's just a little bit over 500. And Mike McCarthy is a lot over 500, but he did have Aaron Rodgers and they're in Green Bay for quite some time. So that is who Ed is saying Mike Vrabel should be at, 19-22. Yeah, I disagree.
19-22, it's just, that is very disrespectful, inarguably disrespectful to Mike Vrabel to say 19-22. He's in this top tier. There, no other way about it. He's in this upper tier here. Jags Got Juice says it's top 8. Darius says top 10, probably 7 or 8. Richie says top 10. Deborah says he's number 5. Michigan Titan thinks he's top 8. Titans Kyle says he's 10th. Tall Texan says 6. Billy Jones says 6. John says he's 7th. Robbie says 5 or 6. Jonathan says 10. Pedro says at least 9. Rooney says 6. Will is 11 or 12. Matt is top 6. Top 8 from Bork. Top 6 from Paul. So a lot of people in the top 10, but I'm surprised. Like Zoe says 15. A lot of people have Mike Vrabel in this like middle tier right here. People not liking the Titans head coach. Even Jeff, 13 to 16th here, Austin. But where do you have him? Like, I don't think you can put him that low. So what's the number for you?
Yeah, I think 9, 10, 11 is kind of where I'm at with Mike Vrabel. I think Cody Benjamin has Vrabel just a little bit too low. I think it's way too early to have Brian Daboll in a top 10 list. Now, to Cody Benjamin's credit, he has Brian Daboll at 15th. I think I would take Mike Vrabel over Matt LaFleur of the Packers, because I know Matt LaFleur has had a lot of 13-3 seasons, and then they dropped off last year. But now it's up to Matt LaFleur to figure out what the hell.
He's another guy that has had the elite quarterback and failed to win in the playoffs. So I think he's got a couple things that, like, couple negatives Vrabel doesn't have on his resume.
Yeah, no doubt. I would put Vrabel ahead of LaFleur. I would put Vrabel ahead of Nick Sirianni to this point. I like Nick Sirianni a lot, but I mean, you give me a break. He's only entering his 3rd year as a head coach. And he went to the Super Bowl with a fantastic run, and you got to give him credit for that. But he's also got 2 incredible wide receivers. I mean, his wide receivers, one of them won a freaking Heisman Trophy, and the other one's A.J. Brown. And then he's got Jalen Hurts, who can quarterback sneak his way to a damn NFC championship by itself, on top of the best offensive line in the NFL that's on a budget, being paid nothing because they're all in it together, and then a defense that's ferocious. So I think Nick Sirianni is a little too high as of right now. I'd also put Vrabel ahead of Pete Carroll. I know Pete Carroll did a really good job last year in a resurgence of a Seahawks franchise, moving on from Russell Wilson. But I do think Pete Carroll, like Vrabel in a way, are both unconventional modern head coaches. Like, Pete Carroll's a special teams guy. Vrabel, we know, is a defensive guy. So I just think right now, Vrabel, I trust more this year and for a stable situation than Pete Carroll as of right now. So before you get to your, actually, I'll go ahead and let you answer where you want, and then I kind of have a follow-up question about this topic that might be kind of interesting too.
Yeah, well, so honestly, the number that keeps popping into my head, like, I look at this, I think he's ahead of all the guys you named. I have Mike Vrabel at 7 is the number. And I thought about putting him at 6 over Mike Tomlin, because Mike Tomlin has I just have not been a fan of what he's done with Pittsburgh over the past few years. They feel a little bit lost as an organization, and especially offensively. But Mike Tomlin is Mike Vrabel in some ways, that has been doing it for longer and had a little bit more consistency and has the Super Bowl title. So for those reasons, I wasn't able to quite do that. But I would take Vrabel over Doug Peterson. I take him over Sean McDermott. I take him over Brian Daboll. I take him over Nick Sirianni. And maybe the resume doesn't match up with all of those guys. But when I have seen what Mike Vrabel is working with and what he has done with this team, what he has done with this organization, when I hear players talk about playing for Mike Vrabel and how much they love playing for Mike Vrabel and the draw that he has on being a player's coach that connects with his guys, I have a hard time putting any of those names above him. So he's the number 7 head coach. I was tempted to put him higher. And you know, if you would have asked me when the Titans were 7-3 over the Green Bay Packers in 2022, where Mike Vrabel ranked, it would have been closer to 4th or 3rd than 7th, because I really do think what he has done with the Titans is exceptional. And I've maintained this stance throughout the whole offseason. As long as Mike Vrabel's the head coach of the Titans, I expect them to compete, and I think they're in really good hands.
Yeah.
So while Titans fans might be, you know, a little skeptical because of recent events and kind of how things have trended after the 2021 season, I have a lot of confidence Mike Vrabel's going to turn this thing around.
So, again, I'm putting up Cody Benjamin's blurb, you know, because Andre has a really good comment in a super chat I'm going to get to in a second to set this up. But Benjamin says his commitment to a retro bruising run first approach is both his blessing and his curse. So I'll stop there because I see Andre with this super chat saying the criticism's right. You can't ignore Vrabel's role in Pease leaving, Downing for 2 years, Tim Kelly promoted, hard training injuries, keeping Daly over Radens, defense first approach and stubbornness. He's still top 10 though, as Andre said. So like, I think the criticism of Todd Downing right now is Mike Vrabel's biggest miss, I think, as a head coach. Look, the Dean Pease deal, I think we've learned from Dean Pease. He has a type. Dean Pease's type is new head coach that I'm going to come in here and work with for a few years, and then I'm going to move on and retire. And then I'll come back for another new head coach and have a good relationship, work for a couple of years. Then I'm going to go retire again, because he's done that now 3 times, right? He did it with John Harbaugh several years ago with Baltimore. He did it with Vrabel coming out of retirement. He retired, and he came out of retirement again for Arthur Smith in Atlanta. So like, I don't think that's a Dean Pease, Mike Vrabel thing. I think that's more of just a situation there. But Kendrell says, answer the question, Austin. I answered the question. I said 9-11 is where I think Vrabel should be. So I answered that earlier. So Sam,
well, I want to touch on this real quick too, because it's important. I don't think a lot of this is, this isn't Mike Vrabel stuff, which is why I agree with you. Downing's the miss, right? Daly over Radens. I think everybody in the Titans coaching staff had a little bit of influence on that, and they viewed Radens as more of a guard. That's where they wanted to work him. He also got injured at one point and was, you know, not always available to them. So that's why Daly stayed. But, you know, Taylor Lewan was the left tackle. The Mike Vrabel was not like working with his first choice or what he was like necessarily happy with in Dennis Daly last year. I think the promotion or the hard training injuries, you know, that's up in the air, whether that's Mike Vrabel or not. A lot of the injuries that the Titans have had occur on the field in games, which is kind of just like bad luck, right? I mean, like if you have a high ankle sprain because somebody rolls up on you in a game, that's really not the head coach's fault or a training issue. It's just wrong place at the wrong time. Downing was a bad choice. I think Downing is, and the coaching hires that Mike Vrabel makes are really the one area that I have been extra critical of him, that I could see people being critical of. So, but I don't think all of this is Vrabel. And for all the people that brought up AJ earlier, like that's not Vrabel. So there are things that are out of his control as the head coach. And that's why you brought up the idea of a prove it year this year. That's why 2023 is so important, because Mike Vrabel got another chance to have a bigger role in personnel decisions, to hire a new offensive coordinator, to, you know, really build a roster around the image of what he wanted his team to look like. That's what Rand Carthon told us was his mission as a GM, is give Mike the players Mike wants. So what the Titans do this year and over the next couple seasons, as Mike Vrabel is able to build a roster that fits his vision for a team, will show you how capable he is of being the guy for an NFL franchise.
Yeah. So Kendrell asked me to ask a different question or answer a different question. He says, no, the Super Bowl question, who has one, Carroll or Vrabel? Yeah. Pete Carroll has a Super Bowl. Mike Vrabel does not. Pete Carroll won his Super Bowl as a head coach 9 seasons ago. 9 seasons ago, the 2014 season,
and cost them a Super Bowl in notorious fashion.
Yeah,
So,
and like the next year or whatever it was. So like, look, yes, Pete Carroll won a Super Bowl in the 2014 season. So we're talking about 2023 NFL head coaching rankings. We're not stocking off, who's at the end of their careers, what order these guys getting in the Hall of Fame.
well, and it's important too. Like, I understand the resume, but the league also bypasses some guys. Like, sports evolve, the leagues evolve. What works in certain leagues evolve. I think that's really what's impressive about Andy Reid is that, he was able to do it in different eras and have success in different eras and in different ways with different rosters. And that's what makes him probably the unquestioned number one right now in the NFL. But that's important to keep in mind too. Like, is Pete Carroll able to coach a team in the 2023 National Football League that's a legitimate Super Bowl contender? Maybe. I mean, he did a great job last year. We already established that. But I do think that just because you won a Super Bowl 10 years ago, like, that doesn't do a ton for me now. I want to know that you're able to build a winner today.
Yeah, no doubt. All right. So Sam, excuse me, I have a follow-up question that I think is going to be really interesting because Mike Vrabel is a defensive-minded coach in an offensive-minded league. So my question to you, and I'll let you think about it after I tell you, if you were drafting head coaches,
yeah,
how would Vrabel fall in that draft? Like, if you could start a franchise and you were building it from the ground up and you were drafting head coaches, where do you think Vrabel would come off the board as a defensive-minded coach entering the 2023 season? So I'll let you chew on that for a second while I tell everybody about the Aura app, because Aura is keeping me safe online, keeping Sam safe online. We signed up with Aura months ago at this point with aura.com/ATOZ, where you get a 2-week free trial. And now I get less robocalls. I get less junk emails. I get less junk mail in my mailbox because of what Aura is doing. They also protect my passwords, and they let me know if one of my passwords has been leaked in some data breach. And they tell me, hey, such and such passwords is leaked. You should go change it. I say, okay, thank you, Aura. And then I go change it. And they've also got credit identity theft monitoring as well. So Aura can keep you safe and notify you when any of your information is being shared with people that don't need to have it. And it's so easy to sign up. It takes 2 or 3 minutes. And you start with our link, aura.com/ATOZ, for a 2-week free trial. Simple as that, aura.com/ATOZ for a great 2-week free trial.
Today's show is powered by BetMGM. They are the king of sportsbooks, and we do have the bonus code ATOZ Sports. You see it right there on the bottom of your screen. You can get up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win with BetMGM. So you place that wager, find that game that's speaking to you. I know we're kind of in a dead period for sports right now, but baseball's coming back soon. I saw the other day, Austin, we're 9 Sundays away from NFL regular season action.
That's right.
9 Sundays away from being able to sit down in front of Red Zone, sit down and watch the Titans or, all the NFL day slate of games. So make sure you're getting with BetMGM before then and use the bonus code ATOZ Sports. If it doesn't win, up to $1,000 back in bonus bets with the king of sportsbooks, BetMGM.
All right. So Sam, I just asked you this question. If there was an NFL head coach draft entering the 2023 season, where would defensive-minded head coach Mike Vrabel come off the board? I think this is a fascinating conversation. I thought of it organically off the fly. Where would you think he would be drafted? You don't have to pinpoint it exactly, but, there's 32 spots, right? So what are you thinking here?
I don't think my answer differs a ton.
Really?
So do you think the fact that he's defensive would knock him down a draft board because teams would be targeting offense? Is that your thought?
I've had a long-standing position that the Tennessee Titans will always be in a revolving door situation at offensive coordinator because they hired a defensive-minded head coach. And That's what they went with. They thought Mike Vrabel, leader of men, was the right move, and I get it, and he is.
Well, listen.
Hold on. But because now, like, once again, if you have an offensive coordinator, you're not going to keep them for long because they're either going to be good enough to get a head coaching opportunity or bad enough to get fired. And that is exactly what's happened with Mike Vrabel's first 3 offensive coordinators. They were either good enough to get a head coach job with LaFleur and Arthur Smith, or Todd Downing got fired after 2 years and it was 1 year too long.
Is that not every offensive coordinator, though?
Yes,
like, even offensive coordinators for offensive coaches are great and get a head coaching job or get fired.
But when the head coach is an offensive-minded head coach and the offensive coordinators in that revolving door, the continuity with your quarterback and your offense is still there, right?
I understand that. I don't know. I think if you're looking at it, assuming teams are approaching a head coach draft and they have the resumes of the guys, I think he goes 6 or 7, and you maybe 6 because you don't take Bill Belichick because he's old and you're like, longevity. Right. So maybe Mike Vrabel goes a little bit ahead of him, but I don't know. I think he's a top 7, 8 head coach in the NFL. And if I'm looking at taking a guy, I think this is proven too. We've kind of established this. Andy Reid has kind of broken this mold, but the most sustainable head coaches in the NFL over the last 15 years have been the defensive guys that know how to build culture. And
that's like 2 guys, though. That's 2 guys. That's Belichick
it's
and
Mike Tomlin. It's Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
It's now Mike Vrabel. Those are the guys that have stuck.
But Vrabel's been there for 5 years, so I don't think he's not quite.
It's John Harbaugh.
John Harbaugh is also a special teams guy, just like Pete Carroll is.
But Pete Carroll, like, offense isn't the specialty for these guys, and these are the guys that know how to build culture and sustained success. If I'm an NFL franchise, that's what I'm looking for. I'm not trying to find the flash in the pan offensive guy. I want those guys. So I think Mike Vrabel goes 6 or 7.
I just think the Steelers are an anomaly because they've had like 3 coaches in like the last 50 years. That's just this, right? The Steelers are different. And I agree with where'd it go? With Scarborough right there, Richter. I don't know how to say his name on YouTube. I think Kyle Shanahan's the first overall pick of a head coach.
I think he is too, probably, but because of age.
Probably. I think, I think Andy Reid, even with his age, is still high.
I'd take Mike Vrabel over Sean McVay, knowing that McVay's flirting with the booth right now.
No, for sure.
So you bump him up another spot there.
Right. I mean, but again, like, I think Sean Payton is going to go higher in a draft than Vrabel. I think Doug Peterson's going higher.
Sean Payton's on his way out too. Like,
he just got back.
Yeah, but like, how long is he really going to stay?
But he got out in New Orleans because he didn't want to have to go through the crap they're doing right now without Drew Brees. I think Nick Sirianni gets drafted ahead of Vrabel. I think LaFleur. I think Zach Taylor. I think Brian Daboll. I think Kevin O'Connell with the Vikings.
You think Taylor gets drafted before Mike
Vrabel?
Yes,
in a head. Yes, I think
this is such a stupid argument.
No, it's not.
I'm saying because it's like this would never happen. But I do enjoy the discussion.
I think it's great.
Nobody's taking Zach Taylor over.
Yes.
Zach Taylor's not taking Zach Taylor over Mike Vrabel.
Yes, you are. Sam, if you were starting Zach Taylor as an offensive-minded head coach.
Zach Taylor has the worst winning percentage of any head coach to ever coach in the Super Bowl ever, and it's only because he's got Joe Burrow at quarterback.
Yeah, well, his record sucks so bad because Joe Burrow tore his ACL his first year, and they were awful, right? Like that. Mike Vrabel understood.
Mike Vrabel almost won a division with Josh Dobbs.
No, I like Mike Vrabel as a head coach. I just think if you're drafting head coaches, those offensive-minded coaches are going to go first, even if they are deemed a lesser head coach than Vrabel. The offensive-minded part of it is going to bump them up.
So, how does that affect Bill Belichick, John Harbaugh, and Mike Tomlin?
It's the same thing. Those guys, I think Belichick's lower because of his age. I think Tomlin's probably still ahead of Vrabel. Who was the other one you mentioned?
John Harbaugh. Is Zach Taylor getting drafted ahead of Mike Tomlin? No way.
No. I didn't say that. I said ahead of Mike Vrabel.
Right,
so,
but if you're doing the offense argument for it.
yes, but Mike Tomlin and John Harbaugh have been established for longer than Vrabel. Like Vrabel, again, I like Mike Vrabel as a head coach. I'm just saying, like, was Anthony Richardson the fourth best prospect in this draft? No, he's a quarterback, right? Like, you see what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, the head coaches all play the same position.
Yeah, but it's different. When you are a quarterback head coach, you get propped up and you get more opportunities. And when you're a quarterback, you get propped up and get more opportunities. That's the point, is that Vrabel, look, TJ Watt went late in the 20s in the draft, but he's one of the best dudes in the damn league. But he's a defensive player. And so again, that's kind of the point of the draft part of the conversation, is that the defensive minded thing, I think, dings him across when CBS and Pro Football Focus and whoever else is going to be ranking head coaches. That's going to knock him down a peg.
I don't know. Devin came at, like, Vrabel got a 1 seed without Henry and a terrible offensive line. Like, what the guy's done has been,
the offensive line when they got a 1 seed was not that bad.
Yeah, it wasn't that bad.
Now, and what happened when they played good defense and they were versatile on offense because they did not have Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
Right? Well, I mean, predictable because they didn't have to give Derrick Henry the ball 25 times. I mean, that's kind of what happened when they lost the quarterback. They lost 7 in a row. But when you lose the running back, you win 6 out of 9. That's the point, is that you got to go more off. You got to go lean. And this is a super inside Tennessee Vols thing, but it applies here. Butch Jones was a bad head coach and a bad manager of personalities, but he had to make a decision one year. Do I run the offense through the quarterback, Josh Dobbs, or do I run the offense through my I-back, Jalen Hurd? And he picked Josh Dobbs. Jalen Hurd transferred. Josh Dobbs was the correct decision. The quarterback is the correct decision. And the Titans the last 2 seasons have proven that too.
I think if you're talking to head coaches, though, you do have to consider all of the offensive head coaches that flame out. And like, offensive head coaches frequently are not really cut out to be head coaches. I mean, you see these quarterback guys get elevated all the time, Nathaniel Hackett types that get out there. They don't know how to build culture. They don't know how to build a full team and hang on to a locker room. And I think defensive guys are able to do that more consistently. They're able to build culture more consistently. Now, you rarely see them hired now for the reason that you said. Everybody's looking for the flash in the pan offensive guy that can elevate their quarterback to an elite level. But I think if you're drafting, you do have to factor in, like, consistency and longevity. And while, Titans fans might be soured on Mike Vrabel right now, I think that, 5 years from now, you'll still be talking about him as the coach of the Titans and be talking about him with 4 more winning seasons added to his resume.
Yeah, so, I don't disagree with that either.
So I don't know. Let's talk.
How many more offensive coordinators is he going to have over those next 5 years?
Probably
3 more.
Yeah, probably 3. So
3 OCs in his first 5 years. He'll probably do 3 OCs in his next 5 years.
Yeah,
because Tim Kelly's either going to do really, really well and get a shot, or he's not, and they're going to move on to somebody else who can be better. That's just how the cookie crumbles.
Charles London season.
Look, we went a lot longer on this conversation than we had thought, but hey, I thought this was a lot of fun. I don't know about you, but I had a blast with this one.
I liked it. We disagree a little bit, so it's a good conversation.
All right, Sam. So we have been excited about this. The Titans are announcing their jersey release on July 23rd. That's coming up in a couple Sundays. July 23rd, they're dropping the Tennessee Oilers drip. They got this thing fired up here. It looks awesome as we posted this graphic on social media earlier in the week. And so our question to everybody today, and you've got yours ready here, Sam, what NFL throwback jersey should return as the team's primary uniform? I think it's a cool question.
This is not just like it's easy to ask what is the best throwback jersey, but I want to know what should be the staple of this team. What should they have never gone away from? Because there's a few of them that I think are awesome and fun to watch, but I'm like, no, I wouldn't want to see it all the time. So yeah, we that's why we asked the question here.
All right, so we'll get to everybody's answers. I know Sam's excited about his answer, but first tell us about the Bone and Joint Institute.
The Bone and Joint Institute, they're the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Visit them at boneandjointtn.org. Located out in Franklin, they have a state-of-the-art rehab facility to assist in your recovery, and everything is all under one roof. Nothing worse than going to a doctor's appointment and trying to get treatment and having to go from point A to point B and driving all over Middle Tennessee or wherever you are to get your care. Well, Bone and Joint Institute's got it all in the same spot. Clinic, rehab, imaging, surgery, testing, all in the same spot. They're as reliable and trustworthy as it gets. It's why, we love them. It's why other people love them. If you've ever watched our doc talks, you know how knowledgeable these doctors are. They're the best in the business. So visit them, boneandjointtn.org, to schedule an appointment.
Also with BetMGM, you can win big with the first bet offer with our bonus code ATOZ Sports. That's ATOZ Sports when you sign up with a BetMGM app to get a first bet offer where you get up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet misses. So make sure when you sign up with BetMGM this football season, do it with code ATOZ Sports. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. 21 or older, Tennessee only, new customer offer. All promotions, other qualifications, other requirements. First online real money wager. Only rewards issued to knowledgeable bonus bets. Bonus bets expire 7 days. And for problem game with sport, call Tennessee Red Line 800-889-9789. Sam, the question is, what throwback NFL uniform should be brought back as the team's primary thread? You got the main threads up there, but the Titans do have the old Oilers jersey release coming up on July 23rd, just about 9-10 days away from today. So Sam, I'll let you go to the chat first because I know you're pretty pumped about your answer here.
We're going to the chat here. Titans Kyle says the Oilers, the ones that are about to get dropped, thinks the Titans should go. Same with Jay, same with Damar, same with Robbie. Everybody wants the Oilers jerseys back. I think the Titans have solid jerseys. I like the Titans jerseys a good bit. Jags Got Juice likes the Jaguars throwbacks. The Jaguars did do a little bit of like a switch that I think made them. Do you like the Jaguars switch? I think they got cleaner.
Yeah, I mean they got really goofy there in like they were 2000 teens
before, and
yeah.
now they're. I like the unique colorway the Jags have, and now I think it's pretty clean. But they don't need the Yeah. Mm-mm. With the ones with like the shoulder pad stuff, those were odd. Jeff says it's the Kelly Green jerseys from Philadelphia. We have the Tampa Bay from Titans Kyle. We have Oilers, Chargers, baby blues, the Dolphins, all orange, the Rams, blue and yellow from our guy Mauricio.
They've already gone back to that though. Like the Rams, Mo. The Rams are already doing that.
Yeah, they've got that back. It's already
back. The LA Rams.
I don't think it's the same jersey though, is it?
It's a modern version of the LA Rams.
It's a modern version of it.
When they were in St. Louis, they had more of the gold and the darker blue, and then they went back to LA. They had to wait a year, then they busted out the old school LA Rams. So, but I do like the old school LA Rams, Mo, a lot better than their current stuff.
Orlando says the Vikings, the Falcons, the Pats, and the Bears. The red Patriots is a good one, and the black and red Falcons is like the old Michael Vick Falcons with that old logo is a good one as well. Matt says it's the Chargers powdered blue. Caleb says Eagles Kelly green. Devin's also in on the powder blue. How do you just ditch that color? I think they still have it, but it just doesn't hit the same in the new. I don't think the Chargers hits the same.
Yeah, I feel like it is the same, but it's just a modernized version, I think.
Yeah, Steven says the Buccaneers orange sickle. Jonathan says the Rams. We've got Chargers powder blue again. More Oilers, more Rams, more Oilers. Or Falcons 90s all black jerseys from Jags Got Juice. So this is an interesting one. Where is it? Where'd that go? The Seahawks. How did you like the old Seahawks before Legion of Boom era when they started going to that neon green all the time?
Well, so are they talking about? I think Jody might be talking about the silver helmet Seahawks.
We're talking like like that far back. I'm thinking Hasselbeck years of like that navy blue Seahawks.
We're talking about like 90s Seahawks silver helmet with
I don't know
the
if I
full
like that
bird.
One, then
it does look it does hit 20, 30 years later. Yeah, the Boswell Seahawks.
Yeah.
It does hit 30 years later, but it absolutely looked outdated, once you kind of got into the 2000s.
Yeah. The Legion of Boom I thought was really cool for like 1 year, and then I very quickly got sick of all that neon green. I don't know how Seahawks fans do it. Austin, here's my answer.
Yeah, bring it.
Because I saw this online, because they're coming back this year. I think they're the sweetest in the game. I think they need to go be the regulars, because the regular ones right now stink. It is where I'm at. I'm in Tampa. I'm St. Pete Sam, and I am campaigning while I'm down here for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to bring back the orange sickle. These are so fire. And look at the helmet. Look at the helmet on Kyle Trask with the Pirates head, like the white pants. Yeah, I don't know if you see him up there on Mike Evans, the white pants with the stripe down them. These are some of the best jerseys in the game. I love these. I need these as the Buccaneers' main colorway. Why would you go away for these for that like lame dark grayish brown?
The pewter.
The pewter is so gross. It doesn't pop, and it blends really poorly with that dark red. Like that orange and that red, that pops, and nobody has that colorway. I love it.
They had to go away from it, like, because it did look outdated when they moved away from it in the 90s. And so that was the right decision, but everything is ready to, fashion is cyclical,
modern
right?
Vintage.
Yes. And so I do really like the creamsicles. I'm a Tennessee Vol guy. Anything in orange that's the right shade of orange, I dig. I do like a lot the Tampa Bay Bucs.
I'm surprised people are ripping it. The chat doesn't like it. I'm getting a lot of bad comments about these jerseys. What is not to love about these? Like this, it looks so 80s. It looks so 80s or 70s, but
80s, 90s. Yeah. I mean, that's what's in right now. Like that's again
it's in right now, but it looks 80s in like the cleanest modern way possible. And nobody has this colorway. Like half of what I like about jerseys is when, like, I don't think these colors are too loud. These will look good on a field and professional on a field, but you are so unique. Nobody else is doing this shade of orange, and they're definitely not doing it with red as a complement. So I don't know. I think this is as good as it gets right here. I want to see these back in the rotation for Tampa Bay.
I also, like Jonathan says, it doesn't strike fear into anyone though. Like jerseys don't need to strike fear.
I don't think people. They do.
Now, do I think the Baltimore Ravens all blacks with the purple and gold accents look sick and look kind of scary with Ray Lewis in it? Yeah, that strikes fear into me. I get some PTSD when I look at Ray Lewis in a black Ravens jersey, but that's not like the ultimate goal of uniforms. So I do like the creamsicle. I do like the Oilers. I love the Oilers. I'm a sucker for that Columbia light blue. North Carolina, UCLA, Oilers blue, Chargers blue, add to the list. I'm a sucker for that color. Brentwood Bruins, all of it, baby. But my answer is I think the Eagles Kelly Green is so much better than their dark green. I don't like dark green.
Well, my problem with teams that they do, it's the same thing with the current Bucks, where you mix pewter with like a dark red. I don't like mixing two dark colors. And the Eagles, like their black jerseys with the dark green, just don't. I mean, like the green jerseys are fine, but it doesn't hit the same as like that green that has a little bit more pop in it, and that Kelly green.
Yeah, no, and I have a right behind my computer and camera in my office here. I've got a white Reggie White throwback Eagles Kelly. It's a white with the Kelly green accent. It's stitched. It's got like the bird logo on the sleeves.
Great logo. It's a great logo.
Yes. And the Kelly green is the best. People are saying that I'm trying to appease my in-laws. I'm not. I just think the Kelly green is way better than the dark green.
I think so too. I've had that stance for a while. I don't get, I guess it was just an early 2000s thing. I feel like a lot of teams started going to those like dark colors and mixing two dark colors, but it like I said, it doesn't make sense. It'd be like if the Titans went to like a a really dark, they only did like really dark red and dark blue, which is like what the Texans do. I think the Texans jerseys stink. Like having that light baby blue and the two-tone blue in the Titans colorway is what makes their jerseys good. And it's the reason people like the Oilers is because the blue is louder, the blue is lighter, and so it pops a little bit more with the red. The two dark colors, it does not work.
But if we're talking, this is a different show, I guess. But if we're talking Titans jerseys, I like the navy more than I like the light blue Titans jerseys.
I don't like the navy because they wear it with blue pants.
Navy on navy?
Well,
No,
I don't like that. I don't like it with blue pants. I would like it with white pants.
That looks good too, but they don't wear that often.
Yeah,
because that's the original Titans is the navy tops with the white pants.
The baby blue, like the light blue Titans, I think is their best jersey with the white pants.
I don't like it.
I like the white jerseys. Fine, the white on white are fine, especially because people are wearing blue undershirts and blue socks and stuff like that. I think that works. We need to stop because this is all we have to have. We're doing a different conversation. All right, you're right.
We gotta stop. We can talk in like the next 3 weeks about your favorite Titans jersey combo because we're gonna mix in the Oilers stuff with it too. Whenever we get to see it, so we'll have to revisit that. But all right, Sam, let's get to Ain't That Good News because we both did fun things yesterday. So we'll give an update on Sam's jet skis and my bowling adventures with Buck last night. But ain't that good news to send us to Friday? Sure you make Wilson County Hyundai a part of your new car buying process and go to see them in Lebanon with our guy Payne Bone or at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. So ain't that good news? We like to share everybody's good news on Fridays before we send it into the weekend. So Sam, I'll let you go first because we talked yesterday towards the end of the yesterday show about your jet ski first experience because before yesterday, you had never been on a jet ski and you're in St. Pete. You went out to the ocean, into the Gulf on some jet skis. Take us through it. Did I scare you enough to keep you in a good line?
Yeah, you did. Devin's right. I didn't die. You did have me nervous. Like I was very confident and very excited going in. And the way you were talking on the show yesterday, I went into it I was like, is this going to be harder than I think it is? And it was pretty tiring. I underestimated how little grip you have. Like you're really just like your only thing holding you on is your hands on the handlebars. And so your hands get a little, they wear down over time. So that was a struggle. Had a battle with salt water getting into my eyes, which, then I couldn't really see. That was a battle for a little bit. And then I learned a tip towards the end, which I think made it way easier, which was when I would struggle. I would get pulled by the waves, I think, a little bit too much. It was hard to it's like you're going left and right the whole time. It doesn't really work. You have to keep your eyes focused on something in the distance. And if you look at something in the distance, it becomes easier to steer in a straight line and really go after it. Learning curve. I feel pretty good about it, though. It was a great time. I survived, did not fall in the water at all, which I think is the mission, right? I think, so overall, a win for me in my jet ski debut and, would do again.
Good. Would do again. So more good news before I get to my bowling excursions. Rooney says good news. Sam didn't drown. Kenny says, good news. I've been at Universal Orlando for the week, having a great time. I dig that. Let's see. Jody says, Sam, you need to go to the Sponge Docks in Tarpon Springs. Great food and cool experience. I don't know what that is. I don't know if that's in St. Pete or not, but I'll let you guys Google that later.
All right.
Ryan with a super chat saying, good news. Kentucky basketball is playing the Global Jam and looking like the number one team in basketball. We'll see how Kentucky does. They got to be better.
Newsflash. They're not.
Newsflash. John Calipari says, in November, December, and January, we have a young team. These freshmen got to figure it out. We got time to figure it out. We got to get ready for March. And that's how Kentucky basketball is going to go this year. Let's see. More good news.
Is he on the hot seat? Is Cal on the hot seat?
Kinda.
They don't make the tournament. I think he's in trouble.
Yeah,
Whatever.
that's a whole long conversation that a lot of people don't really care about besides us and Kyle maybe or Ryan. Jonathan says saw Sound of Freedom this week. Great movie that everyone should see. I've heard some rumblings about that. Valentino says hope to get to ride some of my vacation starting Monday. Talking about some jet skis there too. Mr. Jones says good news, Titans are getting D-Hop. Been saying it for over a month. Well, we don't know that, Mr. Jones, unless you know something. And then Billy Jones says, had a great time with his daughter last night at the Foreigner Loverboy concert. I'm glad to hear that. Always good daddy-daughter time right there. My good news. I'm sorry?
Foreigner's still doing concerts? That'd be a fun show.
Yeah. I would probably go. I'm not a big concert person, but if somebody's like, hey, you want to go see Foreigner? I'm like, all right, cool.
Yeah,
all right.
Sign me up.
So my good news, had a great time last night at Buck Rising Split Happens that benefited Home Street Home, a great organization helping people dealing with homelessness around Nashville. Really great cause. They sold that thing out in Cool Springs at Kings Bowl. It was a hell of a time. A to Z had a good representation there with Evan Winter, our managing editor of the website, Nate, one of our social guys, Andrew Schulman, our Nashville sales guy. And Andrew is the reason why I did not come out on top of the A to Z bowling records, because Andrew was out there bowling like 150s on a consistent basis. And my top score was 114. I started off hot, kind of petered out there towards the end. But 114, I haven't bowled since last year's Bucks event. So it's been a full 12 months in between bowling for me. But 114 was my first score, and then I got like a 90 the next time after I kind of got tired and having too much fun. Because I will say, Sam, I told you this before we started. 1045 and the 3HL crew was all there. A bunch of people from the Zone, a bunch of people that watched our show, that listened to the Zone, and Titans radio people had a great time. And whenever Ron Slay is at an event that you're at, you're going to have a harder morning because Ron Slay was involved. And look, I love hanging out with Slay.
Life of the party, man.
Love hanging out with Slay. He always makes it kick up a couple notches. And he definitely did that last night with Buck's bowling event. So heck of a time. I love doing stuff like that. SEC Media Days next week too. So get to see a lot of those guys and also Don next week too.
I didn't want to be the guy, but Jay brought it up. 114. I thought you said you weren't bad at bowling.
Again, I haven't bowled in
114 to 94, something like that. Like, we gotta hit triple digits, man.
Oh yeah, I was very disappointed. I started getting tired. Yeah, I was very disappointed. I was not happy with my 114. Last year at Bucks event, I was like 120, 130, like in both games.
We got to be sitting there. I think I had like a career day randomly. Like, I don't remember what I bowled, but it was, I wanted to get to 200 really bad, but you have to be really like spot on. I think my best is like 180 something.
This is also such a social event. Like, it's like, it's my turn. Like, right. Like, I've been at the bar. I've been like talking to people. I've been eating pizza. I'm left-handed. I was eating pizza with my left hand. Then I would go bowl, and then it's like slipping. Like, I got
all right. This is a question I have to follow. What weight ball do you use?
Usually 12 or 13. Last night I used 12s because they didn't have 13s in our area. Like, the place was sold out. Like,
I use like an 11 or a 10 if possible. I like to go as far down. I have to find finger holes that work.
Yeah.
With the smaller balls.
I needed
problem.
I had the Bussin' with the Boys social media guys were to our right. Darren Bates and the Raw Room guys were to our left. But we were sharing bowling balls with the Bussin' social guys. And me and JP, we both wanted the 12 with the extra large fingers.
Yeah.
And the second game, we were always at the same time. So, and he was like slightly ahead of me. And so I had to go like the 12 with like the other finger holes that I didn't like as much. But hey, that's how it goes. You gotta take the bowling ball and roll it.
I used to think going further down was better because I'm like, I can like, we had a comment here where you can really sling a 7-pounder. Yeah. Like I was like, oh, you can really get some velo on this. And then I realized we got to let the ball do some of the work here. We got to use like get extra weight. It'll do more damage on the pins. I was using lighter weights, throwing it down there. And then I'm like, why is it not doing any damage? Why am I just getting like 7 pins down when I hit it dead center? At, it's because I need more weight to the ball. So I upped it a little bit and that helped. But
yeah, for sure. And, Rooney asked, Austin, do you curve or do you throw straight? I used to curve, but I'm straight now.
I'm a straight bowler too. And I'm a good straight bowler. Like I said, I can bowl 175, 185, but it's straight down the middle. People that curve, no way. You have to be really, really good at it to not throw it in the gutter like 8 times.
And it wears your elbow out faster.
True.
So I'm not about that. But hey, Andrew, pretty sharp there last night. But hey, it was a lot of fun and always like doing events like that. So we'll be ready for next year. Next season. I just need to bowl between now and Buck's 3rd annual sport happens.
Yeah, get some reps in like a couple weeks before, and then you'll be good.
Yeah, the problem is I came out hot in the practice rounds. I picked up a great spare I rolled 3 practice frames, Sam. I hit 7 and then picked up the spare on my first one, a strike on my second one, and then a 9 and a 1 on my 3rd frame. That's
the key, man. That's the key, man. No empty frames. No empty frames that's how you light up the scoreboard.
That's right. All right, guys. Well, hey, hope everybody has a fantastic weekend. Sam, hope you have a great rest of your time as St. Pete Sam. We'll be back on Monday morning. We'll see where the D-Hop situation sits, but make sure you give the show a big thumbs up there. We'd appreciate that as always. Like the show before you go on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch. Give us that thumbs up. We love that. Hope everybody has a great weekend. We'll see you guys soon. Appreciate it as always.